We're going to check in with a fellow who has been very busy. We've spoken to him before on the morning program. He's been very busy climbing mountains. His name's Steve Plain. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, Gareth. How are you?
I'm well, and welcome home as well.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's actually it's wonderful to be back in Perth. It's been an incredible 4 months, but always amazing to get back home.
An incredible 4 months is an understatement. I mean, where do we start? We last spoke to you after, I think, the third of your 7. How has it been? How have you have you had time to judge the scale of your accomplishment?
To be honest, I don't think it's really sunk in yet. I sort of came back home, and all my family and friends are back over east, so I'll be heading over there this weekend, and we'll spend time catching up and probably reminiscing with them, and maybe I'll sort of thinking a bit more then. But at the moment, it's just been really nice just to have a few quiet days at home. Just remind people, what was the record that you were trying to break? So the record was the 7 summits in the fastest time. So that's the highest mountain on each of the 7 continents. So I think when we last chatted, I think I was about halfway through. So I'd completed Vincent down Antarctica, Aconcagua in South America, Kilimanjaro in Africa, and Carsten's Pyramid in West Papua. And then obviously since that, just completed the second half, which was a lot harder than the first half, to be honest. And so we're heading up to the Northern Hemisphere winter at that stage. So we did Elbrus in Russia, where temperatures were down to about minus 25 and real strong winds and wintry conditions. Then the toughest of all of them was Denali in Alaska in early spring. And there we had temperatures down to minus 45 and took a real belting. And then finally just finished on Everest last week. So interesting that Everest wasn't the toughest. Denali was the toughest. Yeah, I think Everest is obviously the most well-known and obviously the tallest, and the altitude at that height, you have to manage very, very carefully and just acclimatise well for it. But in terms of the true challenge of the expedition, Denali, we had a fully self-supported expedition for 17 days. We got dropped off in a small ski plane on a glacier in 17 days. There was 4 of us, and we're the only ones in the mountain, and no one in sight, no rescue services available. And just a sheer consistent cold where continuously minus 20, minus 30, summer day was down to below minus 40. So it was incredibly tough climb. So was it a more remote, a more isolating experience than Everest? Far and away, and I think, and for that reason, actually really enjoyed it, and the challenge of it was amazing. I said, we'll climb to try and beat the record. We had to climb Denali out of season, which is why we climbed so early. So we're the first team to have gone in this year. No one else had been in yet this year. So the mountain was pristine, nobody in sight, no trails on the mountain, all the way along. We're having a break trail the whole way, compared to Everest, where there is obviously hundreds of people there these days. That's really interesting. So, I mean, was there anyone who sort of urged you some caution over Denali, given that it, as you say, climbing out of season, being the first up there, not following the beaten track, so to speak? To be honest, everybody. Right. I think we knew how tough it was going to be, and even going into the climb, had a briefing with the Rangers service up in Denali before heading in, and even they gave us a very strong word of caution and had to sign waivers and everything just to get permits to be able to go in, recognising that we'd be fully isolated, and if something basically said, if you go in, you've got to get yourselves out because no one's coming back in to help you. Wow. So it was incredibly tough. Did that give you pause for thought? It did, yeah. Although at that stage, I think we're still excited just to get in and have a go. I think when it really hit us was, I said, when a ski plane dropped us off on a glacier and then just piled all our gear out the door and pushed us out the door and took off again. And then there was just 4 of us with just a pile of supplies, standing in the just middle of a vast white glacier and nothing and no one around, and watching that ski plane take off and leave. That was probably when it really hit just how isolated we were. Wow, you're on your own, boys. Yeah, absolutely. For the next 17 days, it was unrelenting. So. Yeah. So compare that experience to
Everest, which whilst it's, I can't imagine doing it ever myself, but there are lots of people who have done it. I mean, I use that word, the beaten path. Is that what it's like?
It is these days, yeah, and it's still, I love the Himalayas and the Khumbu region, and I've been up into that valley a number of times now, and Everest, it's always been a dream for me, and to actually be up there and stand on top of the world was absolutely incredible. But as you say, there is a lot of people on the mountain these days. I think on the south side where I was climbing, there was about 350 permits for foreign climbers. Then for each of them, you're going to have Sherpas, and then there's additional high altitude workers as well. So you're talking over 1,000 people between camps and on the route at times. So there's always someone around. You never sort of really feel isolated and never feel alone. And to be honest, it's when I go to the mountains, it's for that peace and tranquility as well, which I enjoy. So while Everest was an amazing climb, I don't think I'll be rushing back there too quickly.
That's interesting. That is interesting. My guest on the program, Steve Plain, he has completed the 7 summits, one on each continent, the highest on each continent in record time. And what an achievement that is. What did you learn about yourself, Steve, through all of this?
I think through this, and probably also through my accident 3 years ago when I broke my neck, it's more just about resilience. Not getting worked up and not sweating the small things, and being able to then face and tackle the bigger challenges that come along the way. And so being quite happy with happy with how we've been able to manage all the challenges that have been thrown at us, and never getting worked up about it all, and just always finding a solution and way through it.
There must be an enormous sense of, achievement for one, but also your own personal capacity. You must feel as though anything's sort of possible at this point.
Like I said, the whole sort of magnitude of the whole thing hasn't really hit me yet. So for me, it's just taking it one step at a time the whole way. And we did a lot of work and all the training and preparation leading into the trip, and I think that put us in very good stead for the climbs. And fortunately, the climbs all went incredibly well, and it's just nice to be home. Nice to be home and safe, but it also still leaves a bit of a hollow feeling, to be honest, because I guess it wasn't just about breaking the record. The whole thing was an amazing journey, and now with all that over, there's a bit of a void there to fill.
Yeah. Are you feeling fit at the moment, or are you feeling a bit worn out?
I don't feel too bad, but definitely feel much weaker and more fatigued than when I left. So I think I lost about 8 kilos through the whole trip, which wasn't terrible, but obviously losing that amount of weight and losing that amount of weight does sort of impact you. So strength-wise, need to spend a bit of time back in the gym to try and get a bit of weight back on again.
Have you turned your mind to what's next? Is there going to be another challenge of this nature, or is it just perhaps rest and rehab for a while?
I think I'll get itchy feet pretty quickly back in Perth. So
okay.
There's a few things I've been thinking about, and together with my climbing partner who I've done the 7 summits with, and he's been a huge support the whole way through and absolutely incredible. John Gupta from over in Britain. And so together with him, we've already started chatting about a few ideas for what could be next, but no concrete plans yet for the time being. So this weekend I'll head back to Sydney and enjoy some time with family and friends back there and relax for a few weeks, and then might probably need to set my mind on something else after that. Anything you can share with us at this stage? So nothing concrete at the moment. Right. So hopefully, hopefully back to the Himalayas in 12 months. We'll see. Okay, so the climbing bug is well and truly in your blood. For a little while, I think so, yeah. Okay. Steve, this wasn't just about you and your own physical capacity, your own limits, testing those limits. Obviously, you mentioned your recovery from a broken neck. There was also some causes in the forefront of your mind as well. Just remind people about that and how they've been helped. Yeah, absolutely. So through all this, been trying to raise awareness and funds for Surf Life Saving WA. So it was the volunteer Surf Lifesavers and the work they did that helped me on the morning of my accident. which had it not been for them, I could have had a very, very different outcome after breaking my neck. And then also Spinal Cure Australia, who are doing amazing research into actually trying to find a cure for paralysis and get people out of wheelchairs and walking again, which is absolutely incredible. So been trying to support those causes, and the support I've had along the way has been incredible. And I think so far, between donations to my fundraising page for that, which all goes to those causes, plus we had a group that came along the Everest Base Camp trek and all chipped in and helped out, and we had a weekend with Rotary halfway through as well for fundraising. So combined with all of that, we've currently raised a bit over $35,000. Wow. And still trying to push and drive that more at the moment.
It's a great effort. We're really pleased that we've had the opportunity in a small way to kind of accompany you along the journey, and we're also thrilled that you've achieved what you set out to and you're home safe and sound. So well done, and thanks so much for taking us with you.
Thank you very much, Gareth, and really, really appreciate all the support all on the way. It's been amazing.
Good on you, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Steve Plain, what an achievement, hey? Amazing record.